Hey, good morning, saints. We're going to continue reading in Exodus chapter 25. Exodus chapter 25. Continue reading in the Old Testament today. I know it's been a while since I did a video for the Old Testament. I've been busy doing the New Testament on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get the word out to, the people concerning the New Testament, so they can know who Yeshua is and who he died for and when he comes back. So, but still gonna cover this Old Testament too, because there's some important lessons to be learned in this Old Testament, especially concerning the 12 tribes of Israel. So we continue reading Exodus chapter 25. Verse 1 says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel that they may bring me an offering. Of every man that giveth it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering." It says, "And this is the offering which ye shall take of them, gold, silver, and brass, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram's skin dyed red, and badger's skin, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate." Talking about the ephod and the breastplate for the Levites. The Levites back in there, they wore this breastplate with these little, little square jewels and stuff. The ephod. It says, "And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them, according to all that I showed thee after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof." So length times width. Okay. "And 1 cubit and a half the height thereof." So length times width times height. It says, "And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, within and without shalt thou overlay it, and shalt make upon it a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof. And 2 rings shall be in one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side of it." We're talking about they building the Ark of the Covenant. It says, "And thou shalt make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into rings by the sides of the ark, and the ark may be borne with them. And the ark may be borne with them." So pretty much they fastened the 2 staves made of gold to the ark so they can be able to carry it back and forth. The Ark of the Covenant. It says, "The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, and they shall not be taken from it." So they fastened to the ark. It says, "And thou shalt put into the ark the testimony which I shall give thee." It says, "And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof." So they're making a slab, a mercy seat, to cover the ark. It says, "And thou shalt make 2 cherubims of gold, of beaten work shalt thou make them in the 2 ends of the mercy seat." So on the 2 ends of the mercy seat, you got 2 cherubims sitting on top, facing each other. It says, and make one cherub on the one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall you make the cherubims on the two ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings. And their faces shall look one to another. So I said they're going to be facing each other. And the two wings is going to set up on high. Covering the mercy seat with their wings. It says, toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be. It says, and thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark. So it goes, sets on top of the ark. It says, and in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee, commandments. And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, and from between the two cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony. So there, that's where Yah, Elohim, will meet with the priests and speak with them in between the mercy seat. It says, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubims, which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in commandment unto the children of Israel. So he's speaking to the children of Israel. He ain't speaking to the whole world. The rest of them cats, they were crazy. At this point, he wasn't dealing with every other nation. He was dealing with the children of Israel only. Children of Israel only. It says, thou shalt also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. Length times width times height. It's measurements. It says, and thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt make unto it a border of an hand breadth round about it, and thou shalt make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And thou shalt make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. It says, over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table. And thou shalt make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. So, making pretty much crafting this table legs, gold table legs, so it can be hold up on the table. And it says, verse 29, it says, and thou shalt make dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof, to cover withal. Of pure gold shalt thou make them. And thou shalt set upon the table showbread before me always. So this is the table that they put the spoon, the gold spoon, the bowls and all that. Prepared, the dinner table, pretty much. For the Most High, for Elohim. Okay? Made of gold for always. Always means forever. Verse 31, it says, and thou shalt make a candlestick. Now we're talking about the menorah. So they're making a gold menorah now. It said, then thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold. A beaten work shall the candlestick be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls and his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it. 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side. So So they're making a menorah, what y'all use for what they use for Hanukkah. We call Hanukkah. Or the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. You know, which that's what we really supposed to be celebrating, not Christmas, because Christmas is an old deity god that the Edomites serve, pretty much. It's a more white demon than the Santa Claus suit. We just be serving Hanukkah. That's what we need to be recognized. So this is they making the candlestick holder for the Hanukkah, the menorah. And it says, "And 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with the knop and the flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with the knop and the flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, and with their knops and their flowers. And there shall be a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knot under 2 branches of the same." So in other words, the knop is what the little round thing that holds the candlestick. Okay. It says, "According to the 6 branches that proceed out of the candlestick." It says, "Their knops and their branches shall be of the same, and it shall be beaten work of pure gold. And thou shalt make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it." It says, "And the tongues thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof." So the tongues and the snuff dishes to put out the flame shall be of pure gold. And of a talent of pure gold shall he make it, with all these vessels. And look that thou make them after their patterns, which was showed thee in the mount." Now, now I know everybody got, a lot of people celebrate, Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever you want to call it. But ain't nobody running around here with no pure gold candlestick. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got some gold plated. Might be gold plated or silver, but I don't, ain't nobody run around here no pure gold candlestick. All that stuff was taken through, during the destruction of the temple, the destruction of Jerusalem. So we don't have that kind of stuff no more around here. Exodus chapter 26, talking about the 10 curtains of the tabernacle. It says, "Moreover shalt thou make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet. And with cherubims of cunning work shalt thou make them. The length of one curtain shall be 8 and 20 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain shall be 4 cubits. So the width, and it says, in every one of the curtains shall have one measure, so it should be all the same measurements. Length times width. It says, and thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage and the coupling. And likewise shalt thou make in the uttermost edge of another curtain and the coupling of the second. It says, 50 loops shalt thou make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shalt thou make in the edge of the curtain that is in the coupling of the second, that the loops may take hold one of another. And thou shalt make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtain together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shalt thou make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. And the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. So it shall also be one same measure. Length times width. It says, and thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shalt double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. It says, and thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. So making these loops in order to go, to hang them up pretty much. Hang up the curtains. It says, and thou shalt make 50 taches of brass, 50 little loops of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together that it may be one. So little fasteners for the loops. It says, and the remnant that remaineth of the curtain of the tent, the half curtain that remaineth shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle. It says, and the cubit on the one side and the cubit on the other side of that which remaineth in the length of the curtain of the tent. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that side to cover it. So it pretty much will cover the whole tabernacle. And thou shalt make a covering for the tents of rams' skins dyed red, and a covering above of badger skins. It says, and thou shalt make boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. It says, 2 tinions shall be there in the one board, set in order one against another. Thus shalt thou make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle 20 boards on the south side, southward. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver. Under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tinions. And 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tinions. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, there shall be 20 boards. And there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, thou shalt make 6 boards. So you're covering all the 4 corners, in other words. And two boards shalt thou make for the corners of the tabernacles in the 2 sides, and they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And thou shalt make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle. So this tabernacle, what he talking about? This tabernacle was huge. He had to make all this. He had to make 5 bars, 5 for the boards on the one side of the tabernacle. So for each side of the tabernacle, we had 5 bars he had to put together. So these curtains was big and covered the whole tabernacle pretty much. They were huge. It says, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle, for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the board shall reach from end to end. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold. And thou shalt rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed thee in the mountain. And thou shalt make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work. With cherubim shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of shittim wood, overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang up the veil under the thatches, and that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil the ark of the testimony. So they made this pretty much a big old tabernacle to cover the ark of the covenant. And I bet it was pretty. I mean, after all they did, I mean, it was beautiful. After all that they, after it was finished, it was, man, I would love to have seen that. That'd have been something to see right there. It says, and the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. So the veil is the divide between the priest, divide the holy between the holy place and the most holy. So on the other side of the veil was the most holy, where they kept the ark. It says, and thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. Okay. And thou shalt set the table without the veil, and the candlestick over against the table on the side of the tabernacle towards the south. And thou shalt make an hanging, for the door of the tent of blue and purple and red, or scarlet. Blue, purple, and red. And fine twined linen, work with needlework. So sewn. It says, and thou shalt make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold. And thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. But that was some sight to see right there, man. After it was all finished, man. Because when one person doing this, this was a group effort. Everybody had a hand. The 12 tribes of Israel had a hand in building this place. So I can only imagine how many people it took to build this. I mean, to make the curtains and the gold and all that. Man, that was a lot of work right there. It probably took them a little time too to get it right. So, Exodus chapter 27. It says, and thou shalt make an altar of shittim wood. This is for the burnt offerings. Of shittim wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. And the altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans, and all the vessels thereof thou shalt make of brass. And thou shalt make it for it a grate of network of brass. And upon the net shalt thou make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And thou shalt put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar to bear it. It says, hollow with boards shalt thou make shalt thou make it. As it was showed thee in the mountain, so shall they make it. So Moses was pretty much directing these people on how to make this burnt offering, the altar for the burnt offering, like this pit, smoke pit, pretty much, made of brass. And it says, and thou shalt make the court of the tabernacle for the south side, southward. There shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen, and of 100 cubits long for one side, and 20 pillars thereof, and their 20 sockets shall be of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise of the north side in length shall there be hangings of 100 cubits long, and his 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangers of 50 cubits. Shall be hangers of 50 cubits. Their pillars 10 and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side, eastward, shall be 50 cubits. And the hangings on the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits. Their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. So they had some, pretty much they were putting curtains for the altar for the burnt offerings. You know, pretty much if you think about it, like a what do you call it? You know, people have in their houses those chimneys, and they had, you know, pretty much like the chimney covering, the little grates, they hung the little curtains up there, you know, pretty much like the chimneys that people have in their house. If you think of it like that. We're talking about hanging these curtains and all this stuff to cover up the, you know, the altar for the burnt offerings. Now, it says, in the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangers of 50 cubits and pillars of 10 and the sockets of 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side shall be 50 cubits. The hangings on the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits. 3 pillars, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be an hanging of 20 cubits of blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen, worked with needlework, and their pillars shall be 4 and their sockets 4. And pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, their sockets of brass. And the length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere. And the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. It says, all the vessels of the tabernacle, and all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. And thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring the pure olive oil beaten for the light. So in other words, light pure olive oil that you get at the stove to cause the lamp to burn always. Now pay attention to that, because when it comes that time when you got some little lamps, and you know, you got some little you want like a little, you know, like a little lamp, like little storm lamps. Instead of using kerosene, you can also use light olive oil, and it won't burn. And I think they used the light olive oil so it wouldn't give off that smell like kerosene in your house. It'll make it nauseous. You know, it's too much. So light olive oil seems to work even better, apparently. So, food for thought. Light olive oils. Don't use kerosene, use light olive oil. It says it was able to burn always. Okay. It says, in the tabernacle of the congregation without the veil, which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall order it from evening to morning before the Lord. And it shall be a statute forever unto to their generations on the behalf of the children of Israel. We're going to leave it there. Shalom.